This question comes from Robert Scott, who asked, what if oil became free? Oil is a linchpin of our modern life. Imagine it's suddenly free at the pump, but chaos would ripple through economies, politics, and the environment. Imagine waking up to find that every drop of oil at the refinery gate is now free. The world pumps approximately 100 million barrels per day. Almost all of that goes to moving stuff. Think highways, airlines, shipping. In fact, roughly 60% of global oil has historically gone to road transport alone. Immediate consequences. Producers feel the pain immediately. Since oil is now free at the pump, they get no revenue. Yet most producers must stop or cut output to avoid huge losses. Countries like Saudi Arabia and Russia produce around 10 million barrels per day, but a huge part of their government money comes from selling oil and gas. That means if oil suddenly became free, their economies would feel the shock almost immediately. Nigeria would be hit even harder in some ways, because oil makes up most of its export income, while production costs are relatively high. The United States produces even more oil overall, but its economy is much more diverse. And then there's Norway, which still depends on oil, but has a giant sovereign wealth fund saved up from decades of oil profits. So the table is really showing two different things at once: who pumps the most oil, and who would panic the fastest if oil suddenly stopped making money. Long-term consequences. The political and environmental fallout is huge. Oil exporting nations face catastrophe. Countries like Nigeria, Saudi Arabia, and Russia depend heavily on oil for government revenue and budgets. For example, oil revenues once covered approximately 80 to 90% of Saudi government income. While there is no chance of oil becoming free, but a few different things could make oil effectively free. This is the simplest one. If the world suddenly switched to electric cars or some insanely cheap new energy source, oil demand could collapse. That creates too much oil and not enough buyers. At some point, producers might literally pay people to take it away. Thanks for your question, Robert. And thanks for watching the video all the way down to the end. Like and subscribe to our channel. Drop your question in the comment.